Election season never truly ends in Louisiana. We just wrapped up the big November elections, and voters will head to the polls Saturday to weigh in on 4 constitutional amendments. The wording on those can be a little tricky, so I sat down with Stephen Procopio from the Public Affairs Research Council to break them all down. Well, thank you so much, Stephen, for being here. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Well, thank you. I always enjoy being here.
Good, good. Now, Stephen, we have just gone through the biggest election, I'd say in a long time,
Yeah.
But it's not over for us here in Louisiana. We have something upcoming on December 7th, actually this Saturday, and it's 4 constitutional amendments or 4 proposed amendments.
Well, I guess there are 4 proposed constitutional amendments.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now with everything and all of the legal talk and the language, not many people really understand. So, well, let's talk about it. Now, Amendment 1, it would increase the size of Louisiana's Judiciary Commission and give Louisiana Supreme Court authority to direct the commission to investigate judicial misconduct and allegations. Now, what does that mean?
So the Judiciary Commission is a constitutional body. They investigate judges for misconduct, and then they make a recommendation to the Supreme Court. Now, the Supreme Court is the one that actually makes the decision on what any sanction will be, but they can't act unless the Judiciary Commission does the investigation first. So that's still in place. But what this does is it increases the numbers of the members of the Judiciary Commission from 9, and it's 3 judges, 3 attorneys, and then 3 citizens that are neither judges or attorneys. And it's going to add 5 more members, so it's going to go to 14. You're going to get 2 appointments from the House, 2 appointments from the Senate, and 1 from the governor. And it's trying to increase the number of people that maybe have access. That's where this is a little too much inside baseball. The concern is also it takes too long to go through this process. And a couple other little things it does, it allows the Supreme Court to ask for an investigation because they don't have that formal power now. And it also will allow the Supreme Court to temporarily suspend a judge, but with pay. So it's like leave without pay while there's an investigation going on. Or no, leave with pay.
Okay, good. So the Second Amendment, it would require state legislators to make more time, at least 48 hours, to review proposed amendments to budget bills before a final vote can be taken.
At the end of the session, it was kind of chaos. They were given a budget bill with amendments with hours left to go in the session. A lot of legislators complained they didn't have time to really read what was going on. So this requires 48 hours that they have to have both the amendments and a summary report before they can vote on the final passage of a budget bill. And it only applies to budget bills and only sort of the last vote before it would go to the governor. And the idea is it gives them time to actually read what's in the bill. The other side is that, this is really something that doesn't need to be in the Constitution. It's something that the legislature ought to be able to manage the time themselves.
Okay, now how does it relate to the Third Amendment?
So these are philosophically bound. It's the same author, but it is not legally bound. So amendment number 2 can pass and 3 can fail and vice versa. But the idea behind it is you have the additional 48 hours that you need time. The number 3 would allow the legislature to take an additional 6 days of the session, 2 days at a time, to pass any remaining budget bill. So you can't use it for anything else except a budget bill. And that would be as opposed to going into a special session if they can't pass the budget bill because they need a budget. And in a special session, you have to come back and start the whole process again. So that's sort of what they're trying to avert there.
Let's talk about number 4, Amendment 4.
This is probably one of the most difficult ones for us to try and explain because you have the current system is very complex and difficult to understand, and we're moving to a different system. That's not to say the amendment isn't a good idea or a bad idea, just it's complicated.
Yes.
At a nutshell, essentially, if someone owes property tax on their property, the original owner, the government can force a sale and say, okay, look, you owe us property tax that you haven't paid. And so now we're going to put your property up for sale. And then people can go and buy that property. And now it's a complex process. Depending on how much someone bids, they can own a portion of the property. And then that original owner has 3 years to kind of redeem the property. But essentially, you're putting up property for sale, and that's what gets done. And there's some problems with that. There's problem with trying to get letting all the heirs know, because maybe it's not one person. It could be grandma had this house and no one's been in it for a while, trying to notify everyone. The other issue is there was a case in Minnesota, the Tyler case, that says, look, you can't really take a house from someone over a debt that's worth less than the house, they should get some of that money back. And that can be an issue in Louisiana in some cases, not in all of them. So the proposed solution was to move from a process where you take someone's house and sell it, as opposed to someone can auction off and buy the debt. And so now you owe me the debt, and you have, and I can charge interest and penalties for that. But essentially, you can come back at some point and buy the debt from me.
Thank you so much, Stephen. I think that you've given us a really great summary of what we can think about prior to going in there this Saturday and voting.